Hey everyone, it's triplemangothreat, and today we're going over a mono-white deck tech with our commander, Darien, King of Kjeldor, as our commander. This deck is all about dealing ourselves damage, even if our opponents won't do it for us. When we're dealt damage, we make a 1/1 soldier token for each damage, so if they don't kill us, we make tokens with our commander on the battlefield. Let's get into the deck. Now, our commander costs 6 mana. He's a 3/3 human soldier, and he says, whenever you're dealt damage, you may create that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. When you first look at this, I'm sure your draw just hit the floor because we benefit from taking damage, but then you remember he costs 6 mana. Well, we're going to need mana rocks to cast our commander sooner because when he costs 6 mana, that's a lot of mana in white. So let's talk about Commander's Sphere, Fountain of Ichor, Gold Mirror, Heraldic Banner, and Manalith. All these mana rocks are going to give us colored mana, and our other mana rocks, such as Dreamstone Hedron and Prismatic Lens, are going to be our colorless rocks. Now, ramping in the deck is also going to be essential, so we have our Armillary Sphere, Burnished Heart, Explorer's Scope, Oreskos Explorer, and Solemn Simulacrum, which, by the way, Solemn Simulacrum is about $1 right now compared to his usual price of $4, so I really recommend you pick this one up. With all these extra lands on the battlefield, we're going to be able to cast our commander before turn 6, and we'll be able to work on our card draw with Arcane Encyclopedia, Book of Wraths, Carnage Altar, Mentor of the Meek, and Seer's Sundial. These cards require us to pay mana to draw, but Book of Wraths is so on theme, we pay 2 mana, we lose 2 life, but we make 2 tokens and we draw a card. Mentor of the Meek is just one of the best card draw in white, and it's great in this deck because we make tokens that are power 2 or less. Now, with Avarice, Amulet, and Farside Mask, we don't have to pay mana to draw cards, but we do need to meet the restrictions of having them equipped to a creature for them to work. Some of the removal in the deck is Catapult Master, Crush Contraband, Disenchant, and Forsake the Worldly. With Catapult Master, we must tap 5 soldiers to exile a creature, and with all of our tokens, this is a no-brainer in the deck. And it will be hard for our opponents to keep anything, like their indestructible creatures they might have with Avacyn, a $30 card. Yeah, exile goes around that, and we ultimately take care of any threat that doesn't have hexproof or shroud. With our instants, we can also take care of an artifact or enchantment our opponents have, or if they even curse us, we can take care of that too. When it comes to the board wipes, they are insane. We have Citywide Bust, Dusk and Dawn, Hour of Reckoning, Mass Calcify, and Ravnica at War. We do have ways to buff our creatures, which I'll get into soon, but with Citywide Bust, this takes care of a lot of threats our opponents may have, so it's a must include. Dusk and Dawn again focuses on the bigger creatures, so if we destroy all non-token creatures with power 2 or less, we get them back to our hand by casting the card from our graveyard. So if we had to board wipe, we can get back our card draw, like Mentor of the Meek, one of the great reasons he's a creature, but also a downside by him being affected with removal and board wipes. Hour of Reckoning destroys all non-token creatures, and this will be benefiting us more than our opponents unless they also have tokens out. But when we have 30 1/1 soldiers, it's hard to argue with that board wipe. Mass Calcify destroys all non-white creatures, so our artifact creatures would be affected by this, but imagine how devastating it would be to our opponents who aren't even playing white at all. This is insane, and it's a must include in any mono-white deck. Ravnica at War exiles all multicolored permanents. It's another must include for mono-white deck, but it's likely our opponents are playing more than one color. And the price of this card is only 25 cents, so be sure to pick one of these up. So let's get to the best part of the deck, taking damage. Let's start with Angel's Trumpet, Barbed Wire, Dingus Staff, Jade Monolith, and Jinxed Idol. Angel's Trumpet gives all creatures vigilance, but at the end of each player's turn, they tap all untapped creatures that didn't attack, and Angel's Trumpet deals 1 damage to that player for each creature tapped this way. So we can choose not to attack with a few creatures, and we can deal ourselves damage to get us more tokens. Barbed Wire is going to hit each player at their upkeep. Dingus Staff, whenever a creature dies, it deals 2 damage to that creature's controller. So we can find ways to sacrifice our creatures, and we make more tokens from cards like this. Jade Monolith, we can pay 1 mana to direct the damage that would hit a creature toward us so we make more tokens. And Jinxed Idol is going to hit us for 2 damage each upkeep, or we can sacrifice a creature to give it to an opponent. Next up is Jinxed Ring, Mindstorm Crown, Scepter of Empires, Staff of Nin, and Torture Chamber. With Jinxed Ring, whenever a card is put into a graveyard from play, it deals 1 damage to us. And again, we can sack a creature to give it to an opponent if we want to. Mindstorm Crown is going to hit us each upkeep if we have cards in hand. And it can also draw us a card if we have no cards in hand, which is pretty likely with white. Scepter of Empires, we can tap it to deal 1 damage to target player, so we're going to be focusing on us. And same thing with Staff of Nin. At our upkeep we get to draw a card, but most likely we're going to tap it to deal 1 damage to ourselves. And lastly we have Torture Chamber, where every one of our upkeeps we put a counter on it, and it deals 1 damage to us for each counter on it. Now with all that loss of life, we can gain it all back with cards like Anointer Priest, Daxos Blessed by the Sun, Healer of the Pride, Impassioned Orator, and Soul Warden. These are all great ways to gain life when our creatures enter the battlefield. And do you guys remember what happens when we lose life? We get creatures on the battlefield. Our opponents hitting us will literally gain us life if they do not one-shot us. And do you know how long it takes to get 40 damage on the battlefield all at once? It takes a while. And this is all assuming we don't board wipe them by the time they have enough power to do so, to kill us. The rest of our life gain consists of Ashes of the Abhorrent, Congregate, Linden the Steadfast Queen, Path of Bravery, and Worship. Ashes of the Abhorrent makes it where we restrict our opponents from doing any fancy tricks in the graveyard. Now this also affects us. So for example, we couldn't cast our Dusk to Dawn card to get our creatures back. But that's 1 card. This could completely shut down an opponent and we could gain life when a creature dies, which happens a lot in games, and with all the board wipes we have, we could gain a lot of life off of just this card. With Linden and Path to Bravery, we gain life by our creatures attacking, which is great, and with Worship on the battlefield, any damage that would kill us doesn't anymore, as long as we control a creature. With all the token creatures and life gain, we have ways to buff our creatures with Banalish Marshal, Dictate of Heliod, Glorious Anthem, Harmonious Archon. Dictate of Heliod is just a sneaky way to get extra damage in, and we can even win the game if our opponents underestimate our creatures. Now I gotta say, Harmonious Archon gives our creatures base power and toughness 3/3, so with all our other buffs, this gets insane and makes our opponents scared real quick, so I wouldn't play this card unless you can win the game, because you become the threat real soon. The rest of the buff cards are Intangible Virtue, Make a Stand, Paragon of New Dawns, Valor of Akros, and Veteran Smith. Now giving our token creatures vigilance is a game changer. You'll notice that right off. Make a Stand can give our creatures indestructible if our opponents try to board wipe us, or if we're swinging all in, and we can protect them that way too. Lastly, we have ways to make more tokens with Nomad's Assembly, Precinct Captain, and Stormherd. Rebound is so powerful in Magic, it gives us the ability to replay that spell at our next upkeep, and we don't have to pay its mana cost. With this card we can make a huge amount of tokens. Precinct Captain with no extra buffs is okay, but imagine him being a 5/5 with this ability. We make 5 tokens when he deals a player combat damage. Now finally we have Stormherd. It costs 10 mana, which is a lot, I know, but we make X/1/1 white Pegasus creature tokens with flying, where X is our life total. We can easily be up in the 60 range of life, and having these tokens with flying is even better. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you liked this video, you can leave a thumbs up. If you think I missed a card or you want to make a suggestion for the next deck tech, comment below. If you want to see more of this mango content, you can subscribe to see when I post a new video. Thank you so much for your continued support. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.